This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. The average age of vehicles in the U.S. keeps getting older as more people hold on to the cars and trucks they've got instead of buying new ones. S&P Global says the average vehicle is now 12.6 years old, with pickup trucks at 14.2 years, passenger cars at 14 years, and utilities at 9.5. The reason pickups are the oldest is they're designed to last longer and owners tend to keep them properly serviced, especially fleet owners. Past cars are getting older because it's a shrinking segment and there are just fewer new ones coming into the market. S&P Global says an older fleet should really help businesses that sell aftermarket parts and service cars. There are 286 million vehicles in operation in the U.S. About 1 out of 3 vehicles on the road are less than 6 years old, while 2 out of 3 are 6 to 14 years old or even older. One reason why new cars are becoming less affordable for many U.S. households is that auto insurance rates are soaring. They're up 22% from a year ago and average $186 a month, which used to be about the same as a car payment in the pre-COVID era. There are several reasons why insurance rates are up. There's a shortage of techs, so it takes longer to fix cars. And today's cars have a lot of expensive sensors that add to repair bills. Quote, a bumper is just a bumper, but a bumper full of sensors costs more to repair, said Christian Dichek, a policy advisor at the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. By the way, we want to thank our viewer Bill Kafori, hope I said that right, for suggesting that we look into the impact of insurance rates. And if you ever come across something you think we ought to report on, feel free to reach out and let us know about it. Now, let's move over to China, where the government is threatening to put a 25% import tariff on vehicles that come into the country with a 2.5-liter gas engine or bigger. Some experts see this as retaliation to the Biden administration's 100% tariff on imported Chinese EVs. But we see this as a threat to the European Union, which is considering putting 30% tariffs on Chinese cars. We think it looks like China is trying to get the EU to reconsider its tariff. European automakers, well, the German automakers actually, are caught in the crosshairs of these tariff wars. China is their largest market, and while they make a lot of cars in China, they also export them from Germany and the US. For example, Mercedes-Benz and BMW export full-size SUVs made in Alabama and South Carolina to China. China already has a 25% import tariff on any USA-made vehicles, and a new 25% tariff on vehicles from Europe would really hurt their sales in China. And speaking of Europe, automakers are super happy that new car sales came in strong in April. Sales shot up 12% to just over 1 million units. But there were also 2 extra selling days in April this year, so on a daily selling rate basis, the increase was less than that. EVs grew faster than the overall market. They were up 14.4% to over 144,000 vehicles. In areas like Germany, EV sales were flat, but that was made up by countries like France and Belgium, where sales were up over 40%. Hybrid sales shot up 29%, and PHEVs were up 5.5%. Gas and diesel cars had 47% market share, which shows the real shift in the market. Before the emissions scandal, diesels alone accounted for half the European market.
Keeping your heart racing in and out of the gym. That's what really matters. Bridgestone Potenza Sport AS tires with a 50,000-mile limited warranty.
Have you ever wondered what the physical differences are between a 400 and 800 volt electric vehicle? Well, I think we're getting a good look at that as we followed along with Caresoft's teardown of the Tesla Cybertruck. The team there is now down to the cell level in the battery pack, so you can clearly see the layout, and there's already been a change to Tesla's 4680 battery cells. The vent on the cell is now a small ball bearing that presumably pops out when there's a problem, and the plate around the bearing is formed and installed differently. Caresoft president Terry Wachowski speculates this could be one of the ways Tesla figured out how to improve the manufacturing of the cells. But the real big changes are to the brains of the battery management system. Where the 400-volt Model Y from just a few years ago was still using older school transformers and capacitors, the Cybertruck uses transformers that are much more power dense and also offer performance and production improvements. And it looks like Tesla did away with old school capacitors altogether. You know, we've just kind of scratched the surface of what we saw at Caresoft the other day, so we've posted a much more in-depth video if you'd like to see more. The reason I missed hosting a few days last week because I was out driving the updated Ford F-150. And just as a general note, it really is amazing how far full-size pickup trucks have come in the last 20 years. They ride much more like SUVs now than pickups, which makes it easier to understand why they're popular with buyers that might typically not be a truck person. Much nicer interiors also help. In my opinion, Ram has the best truck interiors, while Ford seems to be sticking with a more utilitarian look with less soft-touch materials. But there is still an improvement, and the F-150 now comes standard with 12-inch displays for the driver and infotainment system. Upgrades to the electronic architecture and a faster modem improves navigation, Wi-Fi, and over-the-air updates as well. The new F-150 also gets Ford's updated version of Blue Cruise, which now includes lane repositioning when passing big trucks and assisted lane changes. It worked great on my drive, but that was mostly on straight sections of highway, so I never really got to push the system. Customers can activate Blue Cruise for 3 years for $2,100 when they purchase the vehicle. Then it's $800 a year or $75 a month. If you're looking to spot one of these new F-150s out on the road, I'd say look at the headlights or taillights. Those are where the biggest differences are to me. You might also notice the new Ford logo, which is a little bit flatter than before and ditches the chrome. Or if you're lucky, the owner will have opted for the new Pro Access tailgate, which can open like a normal tailgate, but it also has a door in the middle that swings open as far as 100 degrees. It makes access to whatever you got in the bed much easier to get to, especially while towing. And Ford even put a D10 on the door that helps it stop right before it would hit the jack on a trailer. The Pro Access tailgate is part of a $1,600 bed utility package. And speaking of pricing, starting prices for the new F-150 come in at just under $39,000 for a base XL and range all the way up to over $110,000 for the new Raptor R, and those include destination charges. And more on that Raptor R tomorrow. But speaking of Ford, it's telling its dealers in the US to halt EV investments at their stores. The automaker is making changes to its EV certification program after it held a meeting with 1,000 dealers across the country who are concerned about the slowdown in EV demand. Automotive News reports that Ford plans to announce the changes next month. Dealers enrolled in the EV certification program were expected to complete EV charging requirements in the coming weeks, but now Ford is telling them to hold off until it announces the changes. Since Ford launched its dealer EV certification program, the slowdown in EV demand has led to delays in spending and postponing products. Ford expects to lose $5.5 billion on its EV business this year. The London Electric Vehicle Company, which makes the city's iconic black cabs, has been owned by Chinese automaker Geely since 2012. And now another iconic vehicle on London's roads could become Chinese. BYD wants to replace current diesel-powered red double-decker buses with its own double-decker electric bus, and just launched its BD11 model at the London Bus Museum. I also find it a little funny how close that is to DB11, as in Aston Martin's car. But the bus is powered by a 532 kilowatt-hour battery, which provides a range of 640 kilometers or 400 miles. The company that operates double-decker buses for London is reportedly on the verge of ordering 100 of the BD11. They cost £400,000, which is £100,000 cheaper than UK competitors. The BYD buses are made in China, but the company says a third of the components come from Europe. And that brings us to the end of today's show. Thanks for making Autoline a part of your day.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering boost your game. Teijin Automotive Technologies, the formula for better mobility. And by ZF.
Intrepid's NeoVi Pi, allowing automotive engineers to interface, capture, and monitor vehicle data using Raspberry Pi. As a matter of fact, it's the automotive industry's first robust platform for Raspberry Pi, featuring Intrepid CAN-FD technology and Raspberry Pi Compute Module. The NeoVi Pi is designed for automotive environments, allowing use with relative power ranges and applications. In addition, the NeoVi Pi enables you to use the Raspberry Pi for compute while avoiding additional development to adapt to network environments. That makes the NeoVi Pi powerful enough to solve your vehicle network problems, yet small enough to fit in your backpack. One of many Intrepid tools used for developing zonal architecture and software-defined vehicles.
There's nothing wrong with heavy metal.
Hey, lighten up.
But with world-class composite material, Teijin Automotive Technologies makes vehicles lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly.